Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about the recent session or meeting of the FATF that is being held in Singapore and what is the statement FATF has released related to the anti-money laundering activities launched by the government of India. So that is what we are going to discuss in details. Also, FATF has raised certain concerns and certain advices have been given. We are going to discuss about those as well. So first of all, to give you the brief idea about the context, India, as per the FATF statement, has achieved what it calls as the highest level of or very high level of technical compliance with the requirement of FATF. However, at the same time, it has listed a number of measures that Indian government and the agencies of the Indian government has to undertake to strengthen the supervision as well as the implementation of the preventive measure. Preventive measure related to both terrorist financing and avoiding terrorist financing as well as the anti-money laundering activities. India's AML anti-money laundering activities and the counter-terrorist financing, referred as CFT, regime is achieving good results. That is what FATF also has said when it has released this statement recently. And FATF overall, after this meeting, will publish a detailed report, and after the detailed report, its quality and consistency will be reviewed, and then overall a final verdict will be given about the India's efforts in this regard. So first of all, if we try to understand that what is FATF, so FATF stands for Financial Action Task Force. It is what we can call as a global money laundering as well as terrorist financing watchdog. That means watchdog means it basically ascertains that through no countries the activities of money laundering and terrorist financing are going on. It was set up in year 1989 out of the G7 meeting with developed nations in the capital city of France, that is Paris. FATF has few major objectives. First, its objective was to examine and develop measures to combat money laundering. In simple terms, money laundering is also referred as converting the black money into white money through different processes, largely going to the stages of placement of black money into the economic system, then the layering by carrying out several transactions to basically root out the traces of this particular money, and then finally the integration of this black money into the economy in the form of white money. That can be done by various methods such as round tripping, tax evasion, and a lot of factors are there. So to combat such kind of activities, that was the primary objective. However, in 2001, when the 9/11 attack happened on the US, the FATF overall objective was expanded, and its mandate now also cover and incorporate efforts to combat the terrorist financing. Terrorist financing refers to the flow of money to the terrorist organizations for carrying out deadly attacks and all that. And in April 2012, it added efforts to counter the financing of proliferation of WMD, that is the weapons of mass destruction, which was a major issue, especially when the US waged a war in Iraq on the pretense of finding WMD in the Iraqi government, in the Iraq under the control of Saddam Hussein, the then leader of the Iraq. So that is overall what we can say about FATF. Now, what are the concerns that has been raised about India? In this regard, it has said that India needs to address the delays that happen relating to the conclusion of the what we can say as the money laundering and terrorist financing prosecutions, because it takes a lot of time in India, largely due to the overburdening of judiciary, the pending court cases, and also delays in the overall investigation and everything. And that is something that India has to improve upon. Second, it has said that India also need to ensure that counter-terror financing measures that are basically launched by the government of India should be aimed at preventing the non-profit sector from being abused for TF, are implemented and in line with the risk-based approach. Third, India will analyze the FATF's detailed report where the agency is expected to give its full recommendation, and a fresh national risk assessment of India is also due in 2025. Actually, it is the basis of national risk assessment that is carried out by FATF for all the countries. FATF understand whether there is a risk of terrorist financing, whether there is a risk of money laundering, or any kind of activities which are being supported by government, or whether the government is not taking the appropriate measures to control these menaces. So that is something which will be done in the year 2025. Now, the reason why FATF has given all this statement is believed to be because of the action of the government and government agencies on the NGOs in past few years. For example, the FATF's comment comes after the ED, that is Enforcement Directorate of Government, provisionally attached the asset. Attached asset means seized the asset worth almost 1.5 crore rupees belonging to Indians for Amnesty International Trust, that is a branch of Amnesty International in India. The reason was non-compliance with the foreign regulation, this we can say Regulation Compliance Act. Second is ED's case was based on CBI FIR against Amnesty for alleged violation of FCRA, that is Foreign Contributions Regulatory Act 2020. Not only that, in the recent times, an organization by the name of Center for Policy Research has also came under the radar of the Indian probe agencies, where the license of CPR has been cancelled as it also has violated the FCRA regulations. And few years back, another well-known organization, international NGO by the name of Greenpeace, also their license was suspended because of the same reasons. So these actions that has been taken by the government of India on the NGOs, it is because of this the SEBI has, this FATF has asked the government to basically make sure that the laws are not abused and only such measures are basically taken which help in preventing the money laundering and preventing the terrorism financing. So if we talk about the FATF recent meeting that has happened in Singapore, what it has said on the other countries. So first we can talk about two countries, Monaco in Europe and Venezuela in South America. So for these countries, SEBI has added them to the list of jurisdiction that is subject to increased monitoring because of the increase in risk of this kind of activities going on through these territories. Second is Kuwait, that is the Middle Eastern countries. So for Kuwait, FATF has said that preventing the misuse of legal persons and on applying targeted risk-based measure to protect the non-profit sectors from TF abuse. Similar kind of thing is going on in the Kuwait also, where the government agencies, as per the FATF, are believed to be abusing their power, and then they are basically taking actions against such non-profit sectors which might not have to do anything with the money laundering kind of activities. Third is jurisdiction of Jamaica in Turkey. Jamaica is a small Caribbean country, and Turkey, as we know, is a country at the border of Europe and Asia. So for them, the watchdog in statement said that both countries have made significant progress in addressing the strategic AML, that is anti-money laundering, and the CTF deficiencies previously identified. Turkey before was also made or put into the list of jurisdiction where increased monitoring was required, and this precipitated the Turkey to take the actions, and that has been duly noted by the FATF. And last, as far as Russia is concerned, especially after it waged war in Ukraine, the country has been suspended, and the FATF has said and maintained its stand. The suspension of the Russian Federation will continue to stand unless and until the adequate measures are taken. So that is overall, we can say, the outcome of the meeting. Now, India's efforts in FATF, we try to understand how far India is associated with FATF. So first of all, it was year 2006 when India was granted an observer status. However, in year 2010, it became a full-fledged member of FATF. So to associate with FATF, to have a proper discussion and have a coordination with the body, a multidisciplinary team has been constituted under the guidance of Department of Revenue of Government of India, and it is this team which is heading or which is basically steering the mutual evaluation process and also working on the recommendations and suggestions of FATF. Second, a team of about 25 officers that were part of this team and delegation, and it was the same delegation that represented the case of India to the Singapore meeting. And the delegation to FATF has voiced India's position on various FATF matters in the plenary session, and India is also a member of the steering group of FATF. That means what we can say, that India is actually a very important member of FATF, and by and large it has abided by the regulations and rules of FATF as well as the compliance of FATF, and that is something which it has noted also, as we have discussed in the beginning of the video. Now suppose that a country is not complying with or not taking adequate measures to comply with the regulations and rules of FATF, then what is the steps that it can take? So first of all, more precisely FATF has a two list. First, which is called as grey list, and second, that is called as blacklist. So in the initial time, the countries that are considered safe haven for supporting terror funding and money laundering, they are put in the grey list. Once a country has been put in the grey list, it serves as a warning for them that they may be entering into the blacklist soon if they do not take the adequate measure to redress the gaps and deficiencies. Pakistan has been added in the grey list by the FATF. Now, if suppose a country still after being added to grey list does not take any measures, in that case then they can be added into the blacklist. Now, the addition of blacklist is basically addition of such non-cooperative countries or territories that support terror funding and money laundering activities. This can be direct support as well as indirect support. Indirect support in the sense that again the country, if it is not taking any measures to subvert such activities, it can be considered to be basically indirectly supporting such activities. So as far as the current situation is concerned, three countries are there only in the world which has been added in the blacklist. These countries are Iran and North Korea. They have been added long time before, and very recently the Myanmar, the neighbor of India basically, has also been added. And the addition of Myanmar is on the ground of the coup that was carried out by the military of Myanmar in year 2021. So that is overall what we can understand the mechanism that FATF has in its kitty. So that is all for this particular video. I hope you understood about the FATF's discussion, what you can say, discussion from the current meeting and the stand of India as well as the India's association with this organization. Thank you very much.